Hey everyone, this is Spartan Tyrant coming to you with a strategy guide for the Tau Empire for the Warhammer 40k tabletop game 5th edition. Now, because YouTube uploader has been a little weird for me tonight, I'm not sure how much time I'm going to get, so I'm going to try to get through this stuff pretty quickly. If I have to split this up into 2 videos, I will. But let's just get started with our Fire Warriors, the bread and butter of any Tau army. And that's not just because you have to take one unit, it's because they're a damn good unit in general. Now, your Fire Warriors, what you want to do is you want to give them a pulse rifle. Strength 5, 30-inch range, rapid fire weapon, AP 5. I mean, any basic unit that gets a 30-inch range with their basic gun is pretty damn deadly. Now, what you want to give your Fire Warrior squad is their own Devilfish troop transport. Look at that. Look at that. Pick up chicks with that. Now, you want to give your Fire Warriors their own transport because you do not want to play a static Tau army. Why, you might ask? Because you will lose. Now, that is my personal experience. If you are able to win with a static Tau army, good on you. But I prefer the mobile Tau army because that's what this army, the entire codex kind of preludes to, is that the Tau are good at mobile warfare, which is true both in the backstory and on the tabletop. Now, the Devilfish has some pretty good armaments. It's got some decent armor, burst cannon, assault 3, strength 5 weapon, some pulse carbines from the gun drones, which are pinning strength 5 weapons, twin linked. So that's what you want to do. Now, the reason you do not want to play a static Tau army is because your enemy, no matter who you're facing, can counter that army by simply walking his troops up and flicking your units in the forehead. Not even that hard, I should say. Your one counter to that is, your two counters to that really, I should say, is one, flying away in your handy dandy troop transports, and two, with these guys, your Crew Carnivore squads. I only take one squad of Crew Carnivores, and I take it in a unit size of 20. And I give them a shaper and the armor upgrade and all that jazz. Now, the Kroot have a trait called Infiltrate, which under the 4th edition rules would only allow you, or only give you the chance, I should say, to move your units up a little closer to the enemy pre-game. However, in 5th edition rulebook, your scouts and infiltrators can use a new rule called Outflank. Now, if you're watching this video, you should probably know what I'm talking about right away, but I'm just going to give a brief overview. You keep your scouts and infiltrators in reserve. You roll them on from the reserve chart table. And then you roll another dice, and depending on what number you roll on dice, your units will either appear on the left-hand side of the table, the right-hand side of the table, or your choice. Now, what you want to do once you get your Kroot units onto the table is to aim them at either the nearest basic troop your enemy has or their anti-tank weapons. You want to take the anti-tank weapons out as soon as possible because everything should be in some sort of transport or a tank or some sort of crisis suit. Now, I say you can only really take out the basic troops of your enemies because that's only what the Kroot are only really that good at. They're not a great dedicated close combat unit. They can take out Guardians, Guardsmen, Warriors, okay, Space Marines, if they roll lucky, Necron Warriors, they can take them out pretty good. And that's because of on the charts they get a high number of attacks, which is 3. One normally, plus 1 for the charge, and plus 1 because of the Kroot rifle, which counts as 2 close combat weapons. Their strength 4, weapon skill 4, but only toughness 3. So they can take out the nice soft elements of your opponent's army pretty quickly. But if they run into an assault Space Marine squad, or like Terminators, or even really a Orc horde, or an Orc squad, I should say, they won't be able to last very long. They might be able to stall the enemy for a couple turns, but that's about it. Now, the other, not troop choice, I should say, but the first fast attack you should consider is the Pathfinder squads. Okay, look at him. Now, the Pathfinder squads are essential to any Tau army because they provide the marker lights of your army. Now, this is a brilliant piece of war gear, which, although some of the benefits that the marker light can give are out of date due to the new rulebook, the most important benefit that a marker light can give you is that you can designate one unit, say they're going to use a certain amount of marker lights, and that will boost their ballistic skill to a maximum of 5. Now, Tau army, probably one of the best shooting armies in the game, but but because of that, they had their ballistic skill nerfed a little bit. But to boost any of your units, especially fire warrior squads or maybe your railguns, which I'll get to later, to boost their ballistic skill up to 5, that is deadly. That is deadly. So you definitely want to take some Pathfinders. I believe they can also do the outflanking rule, or they can also use the outflanking rule, I should say. I wouldn't, however, because they will. That's just too easy of a target for your opponent to pick off. Now, next I'm going to go on to the HQ choices for your Tau army. Now you've got a couple choices. You have a Chazeau, which is a 75-point crisis suit, special crisis suit. A Chazelle, which is a 50-point special crisis, not special, but, you know, well, I'll get into it. And you can also take the Ethereal. Never take the Ethereal because they are shit. Unless you want to spend the whole game protecting them, don't bother. They don't really give any significant bonuses. You don't get any real war gear choices with them. Just don't take them. What you want to take is a Crisis Suit HQ, either a Chazelle or a Chazeau. Now, this particular unit I don't use. You know, I got red in the crevices there. If you're wondering. Anywho, I digress. The Chazos and the Chazelles are the choice you want to take because, well, that's one extra crisis suit that you get. And depending on if you pick a Chazeau, they come already with a ballistic skill of 5, which is pretty, well, it's really good. Or Chazeau with a ballistic skill of 4, but you just give it a targeting array and it boosts it up to 5. The ballistic skill up to 5, I should say. Now, the thing to remember for Tau players with your HQ units is that we have arguably the weakest HQ units in the entire Warhammer 40k game. Now that is because every other race's HQ unit, they can just pump them full of war gear to make them usually beast in close combat. The Tau have no crisis suit upgrade for close combat. Maybe next edition, which would be awesome. Get some chainsaws on your crisis suits. So don't spend a whole lot of points on your commander. Just give them the basic 2 weapons. I always go with the pulse rifle and the missile pod combo with a multi-tracker, hardwire multi-tracker, and a targeting array which boosts their ballistic skill. So, I mean, you can invest a lot of points in your commander, but don't bother. It's not worth it. Your commander's not going to get anywhere. Now, like I said earlier, the Tau don't have any dedicated close combat units, and they don't have any power weapons or any psychic powers. So your opponent might come in with a Carnifex, and they'll just be like, I got a Carnifex, you know, or I got a Greater Demon, or I got a Terminator Squad. And your immediate answer to that should be, well, I've got railguns from my broadsides and from my hammerhead gunships. Now, what exactly do these units give you? Well, you'll have to watch my next video to find out. So this is because I'm running out of time. So this is Spartan Tyrant 1 signing off for part 1 of my Tau Empire strategy guide for the Warhammer 40k tabletop game 5th edition. Alright, see you guys at part 2.